What's up, guys? It's been a while since I've done an update on the Datsun behind me. To tell you the honest truth, I've kind of lost motivation to put time in it. We've been so busy trying to get our big projects out in the shop that's been in here for a long time. I've just kind of put my wife's car, OMG Boost, and the Datsun Hast behind me on the back burner so I can focus more on the customers' cars. And circumstances played out. I've not been able to get up here on Saturdays for the past couple months, so haven't really done much of anything on either car. But that doesn't mean that stuff still ain't in the workings. So here recently, I guess in one of my videos past, you seen I sent the rear end to Hammer Concepts and Designs to Brian out in Tennessee. And so that's been kind of in the works, but today we're going to show you the finished product. So let's take a look at it. Well, now let's talk about all the details. With the original 8.8 rear end that was in the car, you know, it's a factory 5/8 offset. So a lot of things I wasn't real comfortable measuring myself, because obviously we don't have a rear end jig or a table or anything. So that's why I sent the entire rear end to Brian for him to jig up, take the actual measurements of, because the car's body, the chassis, everything was based off the 8.8 measurements. So whenever he got the rear, we went over some things. We changed a couple things that are still going to work in the car, but work out better for the layout. So let's talk about a few things. The first thing that we changed, the 8.8 rear end, the 4-link brackets were still exactly where these are, but the coilovers in the back mounted to the inside, so they were stepped inside the frame rail. Well, with the adjustable ride height on these nice billet shock mounts back here, they had to be mounted in line with the frame rail. So no big deal, we're just gonna move the tabs over. We're gonna have to move them back, which my frame rail dives down, but that problem is fixed because now we got ride height adjustment, where we didn't with the old rear end. So when we move the tabs down, we can just adjust this down. So we have a lot of adjustment there that we can do now with this rear. Another thing, with the back brace on this nice 9-inch housing, the tabs for the anti-roll bar, they're pretty narrow on my car. I've got a pack spring, a 2-inch with the billet ends, and it's a pretty narrow anti-roll bar. It's what you see in a lot of the Pro Mods and stuff like that. So the tabs had to be up on the housing diagonally so they didn't bind, and that was another challenge that Brian had to do with making this housing work in this car. Housing comes with a nice tie down and toe point on the back. I really like that. 4-link brackets are nice and braced up. This is a really trick looking setup. I've already talked about the back brace here. This, a lot of people are going to ask about the coating. This is clear powder coat. Brian takes a lot of time scotch brighting, I guess, or sanding and prepping this metal before he welds it, so, and wipes it down super good. So this is a flawless looking housing, has the nice fabricated look, and I wanted the clear powder on this just because I love the way this looks. This looks so beefy. With his housings, he always does the brake lines, which are super nice. Stainless brake lines. With this one, I went ahead and got the Brakeman brake set up to match the front. I love the way their brakes are. Super nice quality stuff. Back brakes obviously a lot bigger than the front. More stopping power on the rear with the drag cars. We got the 5/8 wheel studs, Strange 40 spline. They are the lightened axles, gun drilled as well. You can see where our wishbone hooks up right there. I'm gonna have to remake the wishbone because the width of mine was a little bit big. And I give it to Andrew Blanton, who bought my rear, and he's gonna use it in his Datsun. So it all worked out good there. The center section, this is a Strange HD aluminum center section. The guts of it is a 340 gear, has the lightened ring gear option. Spool, obviously. And that's about the breakdown of this setup. I had him send me different rod ends because the ones on mine have bigger bolt holes, and with these 4-link brackets they use a half, so you can have multiple adjustments. If they had the big bolts, you wouldn't be able to have so many adjustments on the rear. So that's his design. So he sent me those to switch out with mine where everything would work. Trying to think of any details I left out. The real cost of a rear end like this, let's talk about that. A lot of people don't really realize how much parts like this cost. And building a car like I'm doing here, it's not cheap. Going into it, I think a lot of people, they don't realize how much it's going to cost. And you know, the OEM or the 8.8 rear end, not the OEM, but the 8.8 rear end that was in this car, it was a nice piece. There was nothing wrong with it, but every other part on this car has been this nice. Well, I'll take that back. This is probably the nicest piece that's going to go on the car, but every part of this car has been super nice, and I just wanted to finish it out with a nice 9-inch rear. So just a breakdown of what this costs, you're looking at about $8,000 right here. Now, some people's jaw would drop and say, oh my God, that's a lot to pay for a rear end. But, you know, just to break down, you've got a $1,300 set of brakes from the Brakeman. You've got around $1,700 or $1,800 for the center section. You've got around, I think Brian charged me $3,600 or so for the housing. Then you've got your billet shock mounts. I've got these adapter rod ends, and you got your axles. So if you break all that stuff down, that's pretty average cost. And $3,600, or it was 36 or 7 or 8, somewhere around in there, for this housing, I don't think is bad at all. For what you're getting, the quality you're getting. And I know, you know, if I had to do this from scratch, there's no way I could make any money at that. I know Brian, he's got fixtures and he's got his system figured out, and that's how any of us make money, is we do it over and over and over and just optimize our time and stuff. But this is a deal for $8,000 if you're wanting a nice fabricated rear end. So make sure to check Brian out at Hammer Concepts and Designs. Show you a sticker there. This is logo in the back of the rear. But he's on Facebook, Hammer Concepts and Designs. Make sure to check him out. If you need something custom built, a rear end, he's got 9 inches. He does just about everything as far as this goes, and he really knows his stuff, and he can build anything you need. So make sure to give him a shout. I really appreciate him working with me on this. He's a super great guy to work with. I had 0 issues. The communication is great. And I think that's one of the most important things when dealing with a company, is them giving you all the information you need, you being able to give them information, and you work together to get the finished product that you're wanting. So big shout out to Hammer Concepts and Designs. Check them out. And I've got some more parts coming, or no, they're already here. I've just got to get them unboxed, put together, and do another video on them. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, guys.